Good day and welcome to Big Bad Tech. I'm your instructor Jim Pytel, and today we'll learn to configure multifunction digital output on the Omron 3G3JX-AE004 motor drive. This lecture is predicated on the assumption that viewers watch the Adjusting Motor Drive Ramping Characteristics featuring the Omron 3G3JX-AE004 motor drive lecture available at the Big Bad Tech channel. If you haven't watched this lecture yet or only dimly recall its contents, please take the time to do so now. Additionally, since we'll be dealing with this particular manufacturer's parameter programming process and navigation within it, it may help to download the associated datasheet and/or user manual. Before making use of the Omron 3G3JX-AE004 motor drive, we'll initialize the drive to a default state and clear any errors using the initialization and protection parameter B084. Then we'll program it to recognize a 200-watt motor with a nominal rotational speed of 1800 RPM using the motor settings parameters H003 and H004. Finally, we'll program the drive to recognize an external speed potentiometer input using extended function parameter A001. This start state establishes a 60 Hz base frequency, a 60 Hz maximum frequency, forward default rotation, a linear volts per Hertz ratio, a 10-second linear acceleration time, and a 10-second linear deceleration time, among other properties. This motor drive is now ready for today's activities. In this application exercise, we'll learn to configure both the multifunction digital output P1 and the multifunction electromechanical relay. Let's examine multifunction digital output P1 first. Multifunction digital output P1 appears at the far right of the long strip of terminals associated with its common connection, PC. The default state between PC and P1 is normally open. However, this is user adjustable. Depending on the function assigned to P1, this digital output can be used as a feedback signal for other elements within a larger system. In this application exercise, we'll set it up such that P1 selectively energizes or de-energizes a 24-volt DC rated pilot lamp. We'll wire the indicator lamp such that P1 performs low-side switching and that the 24-volt DC pilot lamp has continual connection to the internal 24-volt DC supplied by the drive P24 terminal. By tying together the PC common terminal to that of the FC common terminal, when P1 is in the default open state, no connection exists and the pilot lamp remains unilluminated. When P1 closes, a connection is established and the pilot lamp would illuminate. First, tie together terminal FC and PC. The black spiraled wire serves this purpose. Next, route the internal 24-volt DC power supply from the P24 terminal and the P1 multifunction digital output terminal out of the motor drive. The yellow spiraled wire and the blue spiraled wire respectively serve this purpose. These connections respectively go to the high and low side of the indicator. Note this pilot lamp is 24-volt DC rated. Now we need to configure multifunction digital output P1. The Omron 3G3JX-AE004 motor drive does so using communication parameter C021. Multifunction output terminal P1 selection. Numerous functions are available, only a handful of which we'll examine today. 00, the default setting, signals when the motor drive is in run mode, either accelerating at constant speed or decelerating. 01 is the constant speed arrival signal. This setting signals when the acceleration period is over and the motor has reached the desired speed. 03 is the overload warning signal. This setting signals the system or operator that current draw is in excess of some pre-programmed value. The other available functions indicate other important feedback or error conditions. First, let's navigate to communication parameter C021, multifunction output terminal P1 selection. As expected, it's in the default state of 00, or run, which signals when the motor drive is in run mode, either actively accelerating, at constant speed, or decelerating. Let's see the setting in operation. When an operator presses run, pilot lamp switched by the multifunction digital output P1 in 00 run mode illuminates during the acceleration period. While in constant speed mode, the pilot lamp switched by multifunction digital output P1 in 00 run mode remains illuminated. When an operator presses stop, the pilot lamp switched by multifunction digital output P1 in 00 run mode remains illuminated during the active deceleration period. Only after the controlled deceleration period is ended does the pilot lamp switched by multifunction digital output P1 in 00 run mode turn off. While unimpressive for this brief experiment, consider this pilot lamp indicator could be used in some remote location, allowing an operator or technician to monitor the status of the drive without actually having to be physically present. Additionally, the multifunction digital output P1 needn't be switching a pilot lamp on or off, but rather signaling some other element or collection of elements within a larger system to turn on or off whenever this particular drive is running. Let's see if we can change the function performed by multifunction digital output P1. Navigate to communication parameter C021, multifunction output terminal P1 selection. Increment to 0,1 or the constant speed arrival function. This setting signals when the acceleration period is over and when the motor has reached the desired speed. Let's see this setting in operation. When an operator presses run, the pilot lamp switched by multifunction digital output P1 in constant speed arrival mode remains unilluminated during the acceleration period. As expected, the pilot lamp switched by multifunction digital output P1 in 0,1 constant speed arrival mode illuminates only when speed stabilizes. When an operator presses stop, the pilot lamp switched by multifunction digital output P1 in 0,1 constant speed arrival mode turns off during the deceleration period. Really, the only difference between run and at speed mode is that the run mode asserts multifunction digital output P1 whenever the motor drive is running, either accelerating at constant speed or decelerating, whereas the at speed mode only asserts multifunction digital output P1 when at constant speed, as we'd expect. Let's examine yet another function of multifunction digital output P1, 03, overload warning. First, we need to know what current this motor draws while in operation. Note I've disabled the pilot lamp for this portion of the exercise. With parameter D002, output current monitor being displayed, when an operator presses run, during acceleration, current kind of peaks out at around maybe 1.7-ish amps. While in constant speed mode, the motor appears to be drawing 1.2 to 1.1-ish amps. When an operator presses stop, during deceleration, current kind of peaks out at maybe 1.3-ish amps. Let's adjust a related communication parameter, C041, overload warning level to an unusually small level to trigger the warning even during an unloaded condition. Note the overload warning level is exactly that, a warning, and not an indicator of an actual overload where the drive takes action to correct it. We'll learn to examine and adjust protection parameters in later applications exercise that not only warn of overloads, but also take action to respond or correct an overload. Navigate to communication parameter C041, overload warning level. The default warning level is the rated output of this drive, in this case 2.6 amps, as indicated on the label affixed to the side of the drive. Decrement this value to, let's say, 1.1 amps, and press enter to save it. Navigate back to communication parameter C021, multifunction output terminal P1 selection. Increment to 03, or the overload warning function. This setting signals when current draws in excess of the adjustable communication parameter C041, overload warning level, currently set at 1.1 amps. If you're tracking, you should be able to predict the behavior of this pilot lamp switched by multifunction digital output P1 in 03 overload warning mode during acceleration, constant speed, and deceleration. Let's see the overload warning function in operation. With parameter D002, output current monitor being displayed, when an operator presses run during acceleration, whenever current is in excess of 1.1 amps, the pilot lamp switched by multifunction digital output P1 executing the overload warning function illuminates. When in constant speed mode, the pilot lamp switched by multifunction digital output P1 executing the overload warning function kind of flutters on and off as current vacillates around 1.2 to 1.1-ish amps. When an operator presses stop, when current drops below 1.1 amps, the pilot lamp switched by multifunction digital output P1 executing the overload warning function turns off. Obviously, an overload warning of 1.1 amps is way too low given this motor is unloaded. However, a technician can change the overload warning level and enable this function to get early notice of potential overload and take necessary action.